American Nightmare has arrived. The son of a dream looking to realize his destiny in WWE. Multiple tag team and intercontinental championship reigns during his first run here in WWE. But now that the prodigal son has returned, Cody Rhodes has reached main event status.
Konnichiwa, minasan. I'm Great Oka, United Empire. 今日は試合があった。そして彼がエンパイアの応援してくれるってよ。みんな、ブローケンテーブルポッドキャストよろしく。
I hear the battle cry under the devil's sky. The one-winged angel screams. It fuels my hopes and dreams. The best that I
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables podcast. I am your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our co-host, King Rome. How you doing tonight, sir? Yeah. Of course your audio's not working and your video's messed up here. Hang on one second, guys. Let me get this fixed. There's Rome. All right, give me a quick audio check real quick, Rome.
Check.
All right, Rome's audio is back. He was ranting about the baseball referees. Now let me fix your video.
It would seem that this day has just
Sure.
continued to spiral.
Seriously, man. Wow.
Spiral. Am I back on?
Yeah, you're back on. You're good.
Okay. Real quick, sum it up. I'm in a bad
Jesus.
mood for both the wrestling that we're about to talk about and baseball. I think that the umpires are fucking terrible across the entire league. I think it's a shit show, and I'm all for robo umpires, even though I was not at the beginning of this season.
So I'm okay with like a strike zone, being computerized, but you still got to have at least some sort of an umpire presence out there and stuff like that. But yeah, that was
for
rough
sure.
today, man. There was so many calls that they were just absolutely blind to on the plate. Like I was shocked.
I mean, when Phillies manager Rob Thompson, who I would consider one of the more cool as a cucumber type managers, when he gets thrown out of a ball game,
yeah.
Even
Alec Boehm doesn't slam his bat down and slam his helmet down. He doesn't do that.
Nope.
But let's go ahead and get to the reason that we are here tonight, the AEW Collision review from Saturday night. This was in North Carolina, correct? Was this Greensboro?
Yes, it was in Greensboro. Just to, before we get into it, we are going to talk about our Collision review first and lead into what happened after Collision, along with the news that is coming out about Hangman and Ryan Nemeth. We will be talking about that, so stick with us. But we are going to talk about
Hey,
because it
even
leads.
I don't know what happened here, so I'm interested on that as well.
Oh, for sure, it's going to be in the most sarcastic tone I can give you, Jeff. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
I don't even have the energy to give you a sarcastic tone, though. So I'm going to say sarcastic.
All right. Well, AEW started Collision as they always do with the promos from the wrestlers starting first. Absolutely loved it. We had the Acclaimed up first, and then Christian Cage with Luchasaurus, and then CM FTR cutting theirs afterwards. Was awesome. Love the opening to Collision. We start off the show with Ricky Starks making his way down to the ring with Tony Schiavone. Um, Tony Schiavone informs Ricky Starks that he will be suspended for 30 days due to his actions against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. What do you think of the 30-day suspension?
I think it's interesting. It makes me think that obviously Punk and Ricky are done, especially based off Ricky's promo. Ricky's livid. He says he's going to get a manager license because the suspension is strictly a wrestling, which is interesting. You would think that normally it would be something where it's like he can't even be at TV.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, that was something that was kind of like interesting. I mean, I'm not opposed to it because there is such a thing as getting a manager license in AEW. It's established, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Ricky says that the blood is on Punk's hands, and he goes on to elaborate that you're the reason Steamboat got the lashing from Ricky. And then I really like that Ricky flips Punk's line back on him. Ricky's like, "I can live with my L. Can you live with your W?" Um,
That was
so I
really
really
good.
appreciate it. I really liked having Ricky kind of flip that back on Punk. And Ricky ends this promo in a way that it's very telling, I think, of what we're going to see from AEW probably over the course of the next.
Okay.
Ricky says, "You want a war? I'm going to bring a war to your front door."
All right. I thought he was talking to Punk, you know what I mean?
He was talking to Punk. He was saying that he's going to bring a war to Punk.
Okay. This was great stuff from Ricky. Ricky is an absolute star right now. Anybody who doesn't think that he's getting the rub from CM Punk or anything like that is crazy. Ricky might be the highest he has ever been right now. People are absolutely loving this guy, so good on him.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, Ricky's had the spotlight on Collision almost every week alongside Punk. So
Yep.
I think he's come out of Collision and his feud with CM Punk looking really good. I think it's definitely been warranted, and kudos to him. I mean, obviously it sucks he's not going to wrestle at Wembley. I wonder if he manages somebody at Wembley. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good one.
a lot of people are upset about Wembley kind of being a bunch of tag matches, and I can understand and sympathize with that, but I think that when you have a show of this magnitude, if I'm Tony Khan, I am just trying to get as many people on this card as possible. And that, I think, is a justification for a lot of tag matches, a lot of trios matches. I mean, for me, it just kind of makes sense. Um, but yeah, I thought this was a good promo from Ricky.
Let's go over to the chat real quick. We got the Coog and we got Michael Duke. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Michael says Ricky Starks deserves that suspension. Did I read your post? I believe I did. You talk about the one about the Usos? I answered that one. Not sure about any other ones, but if I didn't,
Jeff, breaking news. Breaking news. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Bring it. Give it to me. Give it to me.
AEW All In has officially passed 80,000 tickets sold. They are currently distributed, excuse me. They are currently sitting at 80,056.
Let's fucking go.
The next record they are chasing is 80,709, set by WWE at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas. What a moment. What a night. There's so much stuff to talk about. I'm glad that we're doing the pod here on a Sunday night. This is great news for them. I'm extremely happy for the company. As a day one AEW fan, definitely take a lot of pride into seeing what they've accomplished, seeing all the highs, all the lows, the best moments, the worst moments. I'm really happy for them. I think 80,000 is insane, and I mean, what? There's 600 away from beating WrestleMania 32, which I believe WrestleMania 32 is the #1 event in terms of tickets distributed. I think. I'm like 60% sure that
I thought they were all saying it was WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre.
No. That's a bullshit number. That's not
Well, that's the number everybody's aiming to beat. I keep hearing that one. They got to beat Hogan Andre. So I think
I think they did. They already beat Hogan Andre. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Pretty sure.
That's fucking awesome. Let's go.
I want to look it up real quick. But anyways, so that's go ahead. I'm gonna do some.
All right, next up we had the Acclaimed versus the Iron Savages. If you don't know who the Iron Savages are, you got to start watching BTE. They have been regularly featured on BTE the last couple of weeks, and they are the former Bear Country. If you remember the guys Bear Country from Dark and a couple episodes of Dynamite, I absolutely love these guys. They have a dude on the outside named Jack Jameson. He's kind of a crazy, big, buff workout dude. He looks a lot like Buddy Matthews, but he's like a psycho type. I don't know. He's kind of a weird guy. But the Acclaimed, this wasn't really a squash match. We had a nice little, nice little tag team match here, but the Acclaimed pick up the win after a pretty decent match. And they get on the mic and say that they are back on track in the tag team division. And they basically make it known that they're going to be going after the tag team titles again here in the future.
So what I'm looking at is that WWE's inflated, not real number for WrestleMania 3 is 93,173.
Yeah.
That venue that they were in could only seat 80,000. Apparently, what was I just saw a number from Deadspin and then it disappeared. Where the hell did this number go? I think they were at 78,000 for the actual attendance. I'm trying to double check real quick before I say that officially.
Either way, we've beaten that one, so.
Give me 1 second.
This was great. The Acclaimed were here. They had Daddy Ass's boots with them. They let the crowd say their goodbyes to Billy, which was really weird to me. Did you catch that part?
78,000, by the way, real quick. 78,000 was WrestleMania 3, so they have beat WrestleMania.
Nice.
Yeah, that they had Billy's boots. Was that what you said?
That part is fine. I'm like, okay, you got his boots, but they were like, the crowd didn't get to say goodbye. Here, you guys can say goodbye now. And I was like, that's weird, bro.
Okay, so here's my thoughts first about this. So, number one, loved Max's rap. The Lizzo line was hilarious. The Mitch McConnell line got me. I was cracking up. I was dying. And then this match went way too long.
It was good though.
The match was fine. I didn't have an issue so much with the match, but the problem is that they tried to. This is my first issue of the night with this show. I actually had a few issues with this episode. I think that I understand the story they're trying to tell, that like Billy Gunn was a key factor to their success. I get it and I totally understand it, but I don't know if I fully believe that it would take the Acclaimed 15-ish minutes to finish off a tag team that is just straight up never on TV because they're not that good. They're really low on the rankings, and so I didn't find that super believable that Billy made that much of a difference, that it took the Acclaim like 15 plus minutes to finish off the Iron Savages. I just don't buy that.
I can see where you're coming from on that, but I actually bought it because they're kind of like big buff dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like they were getting the job done, but they couldn't get it. They couldn't finish the job. You know what I'm saying?
But I get that, and like it would be one thing if like they took a few hits and the Iron Savages kind of got rolling a little bit, but this match went like over a commercial break. This match like started at the beginning of a segment and then like went through a commercial break and then still had some match. And like the commentators are selling it as like, man, the Acclaimed are really missing Billy Gunn here, and I'm just like, all right, I get it, but let's not bury the Acclaimed too much here. I mean, like they're still the Acclaimed,
hey,
like even without Billy Gunn. Like, see, what I would do is I would have the Acclaimed make it to a title shot and then come up short there, and then you could be like, well, I guess Billy really made somewhat of a difference, but they still got there on their own merits to the match.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that this was way too extreme to just go like, man, the Acclaimed really struggled against the Iron Savages tonight. And I was like, what? Like
I mean,
that
if
is
you're
a bit too far of a
if you're
line.
planning on pushing the Iron Savages at all, or at least making them a contender in the division, maybe just wanted to keep them competitive here, I
Yeah,
guess,
I
But
get it.
it
I
was
just
fine.
don't
I
think
didn't have
that
a problem with it.
I just don't think that's the place to start. Like if they're going to start pushing them, okay, that's fine. And I think they've been on Ring of Honor a few times as well. So, okay, that's fine. But watching it, I was just like, why is this going this long? And then the commentators, obviously they're doing the storytelling and they're telling you why it's going this long. And then I'm just like, oh, that's not really
I
believable.
feel you. I
These
feel you.
guys are like these guys are one of the hottest and best tag teams over the last 12 months. And I don't care if you kept them off TV for whatever reason, they were cooled off a little bit. Like that was just so not believable. Like these guys were going toe to toe with House of Black, like 2 weeks ago. And now I'm supposed to believe that the Iron Savages are running them through their pacings. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not buying that.
So
So
Michael's asking, do you think it's going to surpass the record from 1992 with 80,355? I think it's easily going to blow past that.
yeah, we're less than 300 tickets away from that.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
show is that? And
Is that SummerSlam 92 you're talking about?
no, they've already blown past SummerSlam 92.
Yeah.
SummerSlam 92 was like 74,000.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure once we blew past 80 here, I think we're well on the roads to breaking every record, and I don't think there's anything left that's going to stand in the way. I think this is a lock in for the record, Mike. You got at least another week left. Yeah, there's another week left until the show. And once the card solidifies, you're going to have all those people in the area of Wembley start buying them tickets up, even though they probably already did, but
I saw someone just tweet about the all-in tickets like, wow, they really fucked up the build to this show.
Yeah.
Oh, the sarcasm. Love it. Great. But yeah, anyways, like I thought that this segment was too much. I didn't buy it.
All right, let's move on to the next segment here. We had Lexi Nair backstage with the Bullet Club Gold. Guns up, baby. I absolutely loved how they immediately were like, "You're not Tony Schiavone," because Lexi looked incredible. But Juice, during his part of the promo, kept referring to Schiavone. I was laughing my ass off, dude. I absolutely love Juice Robinson, the whole Bullet Club Gold. This group is an absolute home run, Rome. Like, when they put these guys together, I was like, okay, this is going to work, but let's see where it goes. This is an absolute home run at this point. I love these guys.
So real quick before I give my thoughts on this, and again, sorry, because I just want to make sure I get my what I'm saying accurate. So yes, WrestleMania 32 is the all-time highest attended event in wrestling history in paid attendance. So they are literally a couple of hundred tickets away from becoming the biggest wrestling show of all time with a paid.
We'll just say congratulations to Tony Khan on that one. That is a absolutely well-deserved W in his pocket. That's awesome.
Now, yeah, absolutely. Now on to the Bang Bang Gang. I loved this segment. I really loved how they were like, "You're not Tony Schiavone,"
Yeah, it was so.
and then Juice is just not even paying attention. He's like I told you last week, Schiavone. Just
So
like
good.
Juice, do you know that's not Tony? Which also Tony Storm has fun with it later on, but I really liked it. So Jay White's talking, and he talks about the gold in Bullet Club Gold. He's like, we are the best of the Bullet Club. We are the elite version of the Bullet Club. A little bit of wordplay from Jay White, in my opinion, continuing to set up the rumored elite versus Bullet Club Gold match at All In. Which, if you have an issue with this match, because unfortunately, the discourse on wrestling Twitter has become the least fun it's ever been.
Yeah.
And like, if you are sitting here and you see the match in front of you that is Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Hangman Page versus Jay White, Konosuke Takeshita, and Juice Robinson. If you have an issue with that match, like I said on Wednesday's review, I just don't know if this company is right for you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This sounds incredible when Kenny Omega and Jay White are standing across from each other in the ring.
Yes.
I don't want to hear it. It's a wrap. It's over.
Yeah. Some people are out of their minds, man. It's I don't know. And you know,
So the Guns also say,
I'm glad that they've
Sorry, go.
booked a way for the Elite to go up against someone without the Bucks being a part of it. You know what I mean? Because the Bucks have already just now been like, we're going tag team, you know. So
Yeah,
it's just
sure.
I like
And
it.
you know, the Guns talk about how, you know, the Elite beat Matt and Jeff Hardy last week, and they say that they're not the best brothers. The Guns are the best brothers. The Guns want the Bucks.
Absolutely. So yeah, the Guns challenge the Bucks for Dynamite this Wednesday, right?
Yep,
Love it.
it is confirmed.
Love it. Next up, we had a quick recap of the entire MJF Adam Cole storyline. You know, I was talking to you earlier about this. I really feel like that Ring of Honor championship match is a ruse for Adam Cole to tire out MJF. I think Adam Cole's going to have some sort of excuse to not tag in for like 3/4 of the match. Maybe even the whole match somehow, some way, you know, and cause MJF to be absolutely exhausted for their match later in the night. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it at the ballpark today, and I think that seems like a really likely thing. If they're going to turn on each other, you could see it in a passive aggressive way, where it's just like, you know.
Yeah. But like you said, it could go the other way. MJF could refuse to tag in, and Adam Cole could be stuck in the ring the entire time. You know.
And I do think that's the more likely way. I know that you were saying that you think Adam Cole joining the Kingdom makes sense and Adam Cole turning heel makes sense. I don't lean that way. I think that you always need to be kind of conscious about how many times you turn someone face or heel. If you do it too many times, it becomes a joke. You can't take the face or the heel turn seriously.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them in this year that Adam Cole's had, you know, from being a heel to he almost dies, or not dies, but he has to almost retire, to the comeback and then the babyface run. Like, it's one thing for him to be like a tweener where he kind of acts in between. I just can't see Adam Cole turning on MJF. Like, I just don't see it. I'm not seeing that vision. And that's
Yeah. All right, next up we had Chris Statlander and Willow versus Diamante and Mercedes Martinez in a really nice women's tag team match here. Mercedes Martinez has absolutely won me over. I used to absolutely not enjoy her matches when she was the Ring of Honor champion. But whatever fire was lit under her ass, I absolutely enjoy everything she's done over the past few months. There was a really weird spot in this match, Rome, where they kind of wrapped Willow's legs up and her hands up, and they had her just like bending over in the middle of the ring, and they posed with her ass facing the camera. That was the oddest thing I think I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, it's just
It was
them.
so weird.
I don't know.
I wish I had a picture of it.
I mean, I will say that I really love this team of Statlander and Nightingale. They deem themselves Saturday Nightingale. And I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a
Saturday
lot.
Nightingale. I did like that. That was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, these ladies had a great match, huh?
I agree. I thought this was a really fun match. A good match on the card. One of the few matches that was actually advertised for the show. Thought it was good. I was surprised by the winners, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too. I actually didn't think Diamante and Mercedes had a chance in hell of winning this. But Diamante helps out Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes gets a nice roll up, and Diamante pushes on her back and helps her get the 1-2-3. Ref did not see it. I had one problem with this though, and it's the way that Chris Statlander was acting after the match. She was like yelling and stomping her feet like a child, dude. And she was like screaming, "Cheaters! You guys are cheaters!" And I was like, That's not it." I was like, "That is not the character for that TBS championship." Like, you know what I mean? Did you get that at all? Did you feel that?
Um, I didn't really pick into it too much. That was just me. I might have missed that little
Yeah.
tidbit.
Let's just
I
see
was
going
eating at that
forward,
point,
but
so I might have
it
missed
was
that.
really, it came off really childish to me, and I was just like, that is not the attitude for the TBS champion. And it was something new. It wasn't like the way that Statlander acted in the past. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, definitely caught me off guard. I was like,
Yeah, no, I get it.
but no worries. Next up, we had, oh my God, and an absolutely incredible promo by Tony Storm backstage with Lexi Nair. And dude, this might be one of the best women's promos I've seen in years. So Lexi kind of asks Tony, like, what's going on? You've kind of seemed a little distressed lately. And Tony just absolutely runs Lexi down. She's like, "Listen here, toots." Dude, I loved this so much. If you guys have a way to watch this promo, go check out Tony Storm's promo here. This was incredible.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I loved it. Again, really love that Tony Storm also does not know who Lexi Nair is. Like, who are you? Like, what are you even doing here? Tony Storm freaks out, ends up throwing a shoe at Lexi.
The shoe
Thought
was
that was
so good at the end. It was from off screen after she'd already stormed off.
yeah. Well, I agree with you. I thought this was fantastic. This was really good.
Dude, every day or every episode, at least one person on the show blows me away that the E let them go, thinking like, "Oh, just fire them. They're no good." Like at least one person per show just absolutely blows my mind that they let them go.
Mhm.
All right, next up we had Samoa Joe versus Andrew Everett, a Ring of Honor, I want to say alumni. Does that word make sense to you? He's been in Ring of Honor a few times, right? I
Sure.
guess alumni
Go
doesn't
there.
work unless you've been like old school, but
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just say he's a Ring of Honor guy.
yeah, he's a Ring
He's
of
a
Honor
Ring of
guy.
Honor.
We'll just say that. That makes sense. Um, he did look like the long lost, like young buck brother, like old buck. He just had this weird look of like a chubby young buck, to me. Wasn't exactly a squash match. They did let him get a moment of offense in. He went for a really cool springboard off the ropes where Joe did his walkaway spot, but he kind of did that thing where you tumble and springboard off your hands and land on your feet and fling your hair back because you got long hair like a cool guy. Uh, that was a cool spot. And then Joe decided to absolutely murder him and put him in the coquina clutch. So Samoa Joe wins via submission, but I actually enjoyed this a lot. I had this Everett guy, I'd seen him a few times, but I didn't really ever like pay attention to him. I thought he was pretty cool here.
Yeah, I thought this was a good segment overall. I have an underlying issue with this episode of Collision that kind of ties in here, but I'll
Okay.
bring it up in a little bit. But for what they were going for this segment, like in and of itself, I thought it was good having Punk come out, or not Punk, I'm sorry, Joe come out, kill this guy, and he says that he hasn't heard from Punk. He said the real world champion is acting like a bitch.
Yeah.
Joe says, I gave you the courtesy of asking. Now I'm going to convince
Yeah, I loved this promo from Joe, but I find it odd that Punk doesn't like come to address it. You know what I mean? But it is what it
you. I think
is.
you could argue that CM Punk is in the kayfabe. The argument is that Punk is mentally preparing for his trios title match. He has more important things on his mind than a challenge from someone, which I can
Makes
understand.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're in the locker room, no TV in there, makes sense.
Yeah, he might be stretching. You don't know. He's
It's not
busy. He's
like
got a title match. in
it's
20
not
minutes.
like the voice reverberates through the entire building. So I get it. All right, next up. Actually, hold on. I wanted to say one thing. The way Joe screamed, "Give me what I want." I loved it. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I kind of popped for that, so that was great. Next up, we had Christian and Luchasaurus in the ring, cutting nice promo. And Christian is just a mastermind of ripping a crowd apart. And being in North Carolina, you know their hero is going to be Michael Jordan. And he comes out and he basically says LeBron is better than Jordan, calls Jordan the number 2. And even I had a problem with this one. I was like, excuse me, Mr. Cage. But we won't go there. He says that he is actually better than Ric Flair, which, you know, the Carolinas are Flair country. I didn't have a problem with that line. I actually thought he was speaking facts. Tell me when he's telling lies, Rome.
Look, I understand. This is going to be considered a hot take. And I know you just kind of agreed with it, so it's maybe
Yeah.
it is a hot take in the large scheme of things. But when Christian Cage says that he was better than Ric Flair, maybe it's my age showing, where it's just like, I'm not one of these old heads who watched Ric Flair in his prime. But like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anything from Ric Flair that would give credence to the claims that he's better than Christian Cage, apart from the fact that he's won 6 world championships. Like Ric Flair, like all the Ric Flair stuff I've ever seen, it's more memeable and more funny than
Yeah.
like
My
holy
first
shit, this
experience
dude is a great pro wrestler.
Yeah, my first experience with him is in like late WCW era, so
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I think like and again, this is just me and my age, but like my experience with Ric Flair as a viewer has been, like you said, late WCW. He comes over to WWE in the early 2000s. He's kind of feuding with Vince. Haha, funny.
yeah.
And then he joins Evolution, and he's like the old guy on Evolution. Again, I'm not saying Ric Flair is bad. This is not a Ric Flair's trash take. It's not, but then he's like the old mentor on Evolution. And then he kind of like floats around like that babyface WWE scene in like 2007 to whenever. Has the great match with Shawn Michaels, his retirement match. Like that match was great, but like, was it just the emotional weight of the match that made it great? I mean, Shawn Michaels, he's a hack now, but he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So it's not a stretch to say that maybe Shawn carried that match. Like I feel like I'm digging myself a grave with some folk. And it is what it is, but here we are. And then he goes to TNA and stinks up the joint in TNA, and then he comes back to WWE briefly, and he's so old now that he can't really do anything, stinks up the joint, and then he wrestles like 4 retirement matches over the course of like 7 years. Stinks up the joint every one of them. I mean, again, at this point he's just old, so you could chalk it up to age. But yeah, I think I would take, if you said right now, take Christian Cage right in 2023 or Ric Flair, I would take Christian Cage.
Dude, he's doing the best work of his career, and it's fucking awesome. I love it.
I mean, Coog's been around for a minute. Coog, is Ric Flair? I'm about to get so fucking. If this goes fucking crazy, it's gonna
Give it to him in the
stupid.
comments. Give it to him.
Yeah, sure.
I guess I
is
said it
Ric
too.
Flair really all that? Like, or are we just like blinded by the bygone era of like the territory? Ric Flair rode from town to town. He was an attraction. Like, when it comes to like actually like pro wrestler, like would a Ric Flair in his prime stand out in 2023? I guess that's my question. Would he? Because I don't think he would. But that's just me. I don't know. Ric Flair's great.
It's rare
But
when I hear people do their Mount Rushmore wrestling, I never hear Flair in there. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I just
it's
want to
not
make sure
like
because
it's not like Cage is gonna be there either. But he's just doing so good right now. It's just I just want to say that because he's doing amazing. The best work of his career.
I don't know.
So Arn Anderson and Brock Anderson show up. Arn cuts a pretty decent promo on Christian Cage there. And we had a little bit of a match here between Brock and Luchasaurus. And, I wouldn't call this necessarily a squash either, but it was a pretty quick match, maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
It went 10 minutes.
Did it?
Yeah.
It went through a commercial, didn't it? That's why.
It, yes.
Yeah, went through a commercial. You were right. So it wasn't a squash match at all. They gave Brock some good offense. But Luchasaurus hits that big choke slam, picks up the 1-2-3.
Jeff, I had a random thought when watching this match, and it's not a thought you may be thinking because it's about Darby Allin, right?
Okay.
So during the promo part of this segment, Christian Cage is talking about how he felt disrespected by Darby, and like I'm thinking about Darby and his name. Do you think? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't line up. I have to like go back and look at how long he's been wrestling. But I wonder if Darby's name is like, okay, like his last name is Allen, but spelled all in. When did Darby start wrestling? Was it after All In happened?
I think it. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up because I had this thought last night. And I jotted it in my notes, and this could
No.
just be a dumb.
There was
not.
that. He's got that video of him training at the Buddy Wayne Academy and all that. I don't remember what he said about when he started. Coog, do you know when he started? I feel like Coog absorbs all that information like a sponge.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I first, I mean, like, I was kind of caught up in the WWE bubble.
But he's not going to be at
prior
All
to
In.
All In.
Darby's
So
going
I don't.
to All Out.
Yeah, no, he showed up. He showed up when AEW was announced. He wasn't on All In's card, but I don't know. It's just a
No,
thought.
I'm talking about this year. He's going to be at All Out.
He's at both.
Is he at both?
Yeah, he's got a tag match.
Oh, that's right. He does have the tag match with Sting. You're right. Damn.
Oh no, late 2014.
Well, Darby attacks after the bell with his skateboard. He definitely gets the better of Luchasaurus here. He jumps off the top rope and smashes the skateboard over Luchasaurus's back. And Darby stands tall at the end of this one, so should be a good match between him and Luchasaurus. Next up, we had Powerhouse Hobbs in ring with Tony Schiavone. And man, to my chagrin, he had the Book of Hobbs again. And he had the actual book in his hand. And you know what? He started to make me actually like the book. I really didn't enjoy back when he had the book in his hand before. But this time he was saying the next chapter is called Redemption. And how can I have redemption unless I defeat the Redeemer? And dude, that was so fucking good. Such an awesome way that those words like came together to make this match like that. Like, you know, he needs redemption for losing his TNT title. And to get his redemption, he needs to defeat the Redeemer. That was so cool. Absolutely loved it. And he calls out Miro. This was awesome. Miro starts to come out and he gets attacked by Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado. He doesn't look too happy that they were attacking him, but he does take advantage of it, allowing him to get the big ol' spine buster onto Miro. He leaves Miro laying in the middle of the ring. And this is where he lost me with the book. He left the book laying on Miro's chest and walked off. And I'm like, damn it, dude. I was like thinking that book was like something super important to him that like he didn't want anyone else to like take away possibly. Like I don't know what was making me think that, you know, but him leaving it on his chest for some reason I was like, damn it. You know, I don't know what it was, but
It makes you assume that there's like he's got like a run of these books
yeah, like
printed
he's
out,
just
right?
got a bunch of them.
He just goes into his his bag, and he's got like 20 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I don't think I'm as out on the Book of Hobbs, like literally it's a book gimmick. I mean, we've obviously laughed about it in the past. But I think if done well, I think Hobbs can make it work.
I agree.
And yeah, I thought him calling out Miro was dope. I thought that was really cool. I like this excuse me. I like this thing where like you're not really sure if like Solo and Camarado, if Hobbs is in on it. It doesn't seem like he is, but he's not gonna pass an opportunity by to attack Miro. So I thought this was a pretty cool segment. I mean, it was pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we had JR making his way down to the ring to join the commentary team. This was nice. And we had the House of Black versus CM FTR in the AEW Trios Championship match for the main event. Was this Ian Riccaboni tonight? It was, right?
It was. Yes.
Man, I don't know what it is with everybody calling Buddy Matthews Buddy Murphy, But the first time he goes to say Buddy Matthews' name, he called him Buddy Murphy. And that happens with who's the guy that he's replacing right now? Is it Kevin Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I think I had the name wrong. I knew it. I was just, for some reason, my brain was like, you're wrong. But yeah, so let's get this right. Even I get it wrong all the time. It should be Buddy Matthews, correct? Matthews?
Correct.
Correct. All right. Question for you here. Does this feel like Punk and CMFTR like building a new Four Horsemen type group at all?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know. They're a trios.
I know. It just feels like I don't know. It just kind of feels like it for me. There's always references to the Four Horsemen throughout the night and stuff. And then we just got these guys that they're just badass pro wrestlers, you know?
I don't think there's too much of a correlation. I think that I think CMFTR is just trying to be their own.
Yeah, I got you. What would you think though if somehow Ricky and Punk made up and we get Ricky added to the group? New Age Four Horsemen.
I mean, I think it would be an interesting choice to kind of have them go back on it. I mean, I could see them doing it later down the line, but I don't think they should do it.
No, yeah, definitely not anytime soon. I just love Ricky right now.
Unless Punk does the full heel turn at that point where he's just like, yeah, fuck Ricky Steamboat. At that point, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense then. But it would have to be Punk that would have to initiate. It can't be Ricky being like,
Yeah, but man, this was an absolutely awesome match. The House of Black almost never miss. I loved this. It was incredible.
I think one of my favorite things about Collision, and again, I'll give my overall thoughts, like a final overall thoughts of the show, because I do have some issues with the show tonight. One of my favorite things about Collision is the fact that it almost gives like a house show vibe. I think I saw someone on Twitter say this as well, and I was like, man, yeah, that's the vibe that I'm getting, where it's like you just have CMFTR go out there with 30 minutes of time and just like have a dope match. That it's just like, just kind of like, hey, here it is. Here's the main event of Collision. It's this great like 30-minute CMFTR taking on the heels, you know, whether it be CM Punk or CMFTR, whoever it is. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a really cool spot. And it's like, I really like the vibe of it. In what I found to be a generally mid Collision episode, with some issues, this was a shining point of the night. This was a really, really good match. I love this match.
Yeah, I mean, Punk was at the top of his game here tonight. Like, anybody who thinks he's lost a step, go watch this match. It was fan-freaking-tastic. There was a spot where he was going to hit the GTS onto Malachi, and Malachi wiggled out, and Malachi throws the black mass at Punk, and Punk does the sit-down into a cross-legged, dodging the black mass, bro.
Yes, and so the two things I wanted to mention about this match specifically, one being a good, one being a bad. That being the good, where I love the strikes and the Punk and Malachi going back and forth made me like desire a singles match between the two of them.
Oh yeah.
I love the way they fought. I think Malachi and Punk had great chemistry in this match. I love when Malachi goes for the black mass, like you said. Punk sits down, Malachi sits down, and you just have this stare down, and it's just such. The fans did it best. It was a holy shit moment. It was really cool.
And then each side had both of the other two guys walk up while the ref's like, get out of the ring. And then he was just like, oh, never mind. 6-man hockey fight.
Yeah. And then the bad thing about this, and it's just something that happens all the time, so I'm going to continue to mention it until they get it right. The finish of this match had a blown camera angle where, like, so CM Punk rolls out of the ring. He's catching his breath. Samoa Joe comes up, grabs Punk from the crowd, and drags him away and chokes him. And my initial thought was, how did you not catch the Joe grabbing Punk? Like, they cut to CM Punk, and he's, like, on the guardrail. And then they cut to the ring. And then they cut back to Joe and Punk, and Joe has already choked Punk out. And if you're not paying it, like, if you're like, what the hell just happened? Like, it's just another blown camera angle. And I just don't understand why this keeps happening. It's a Dynamite, it's a Collision, it's an everything on AEW thing. It's like, It's my number one thing with the company that I just can't stand is like, we need to plan out these spots better, at least for the finish. It's one thing if you don't get every spot. I can understand and sympathize. It's live TV. You have some artistic direction that you're trying to reach. You're trying to involve the crowd. And if it's not a singles match, multiple wrestlers, I get it. However, if you're looking at the finish of the match, you can't miss the finish. There needs to be some communication with Tony and somebody in the truck, like where it's just like, okay, like there needs to be like a three-way between like TK, the ref, and someone in the truck. And that needs to be like a three-way in the earpiece at all times. Where it's like, okay, finish is coming up. Make sure we stay on Punk because Joe is coming. Like there needs to be some sort of plan that is in place to stop this from, because it's ridiculous.
So after I let you go for so long here, I actually don't think that's what happened here. I actually think Riccaboni or Nigel missed a cue of saying, "Where is CM Punk?" Because it looked like, I believe it was Dax that took the pin. It looked like Dax was looking for a tag and Punk wasn't in the corner, right? So if Riccaboni or Nigel had yelled out, "Where's CM Punk?" and then he gets pinned, and then we cut to Joe choking out Punk like we did, he could be like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" But instead, he had to kind of, "Oh, we didn't see that on live." You know what I mean?
So
I completely
here's
agree.
why-
It could have been what you said, but I almost took it as if Riccaboni missed his chance to say, "Where is CM Punk?"
So the reason that I think you're wrong, there's two reasons. Number one, the fact that Riccaboni instantly reacts to wait a second, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Number one. So that means that they're trying to make the audience aware that this is happening. This is not a like, where's Punk? And then the camera turns and it's like, oh, there's no, like the announcers were like, what's going on over there with CM Punk, guys? And then the other way that I know that it was a missed shot is they literally show it happening the second after it happened. Like they ran that replay
Yeah.
after it happened. Like it wasn't like the finish happened and then we say, oh, one of our cameras caught it. Like, no, they were like, what happened? They cut to Punk being on the floor.
Yeah.
And then instantly they're like, oh, I think one of our cameras captured it. Here it is. Like, I get your point, but I just disagree.
Yeah.
I think that
Either way, whoever is right, it didn't look right. It was either
no, I think the
planned
replay was
poorly
good.
or executed poorly. So either way,
Well,
it
no,
didn't
so
tremendously bother me, but
I disagree with that. I actually think that the spot, when you look at the replay, I thought the spot was very well done. I thought it was a good spot. I don't have a problem with the
I'm
spot
talking about
itself.
the cut. I'm talking about the cutting, the cuts, and that's.
Oh, well, yeah, what they should have done was they should have cut to Punk. And then again, like the way it was shot was clearly intended for it to be a shock thing because you don't see Joe until he reaches over the barricade to pull Punk over the barricade.
Yeah, like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's a perfect chance to do that spot where you have a camera angle looking at someone and have somebody stand up from behind them. That would have been a perfect shot to have Punk's face standing next to the barricade, kind of huffing and puffing, and then Joe just stand up and then wrap him up. You know what I mean?
I get it. I still like the way it was shot. Again, it's not a problem with the wrestlers in the match. It's not a problem with the shot that the cameraman got. It's a problem with the guy in the truck saying, "Let's cut to the ring when we're trying to finish this match." Like
it feels like he's always about 3/4 of a second behind, maybe a second behind. You know what I mean? Or too quick sometimes. But it's about a second. Whatever the problem is, it's like, come on, dude, tighten it up. And like you said, it's because they add up. You know what I mean? If they didn't add up like that, it is what it is. But Samoa Joe ambushes Punk. Dax takes a huge lariat from Brody King. And 1, 2, 3. House of Black retain. And, man, they look fucking awesome. Yo, Miaja, what up, man? Welcome back.
What's going on, man? How you been? Yeah, I love this match. The camera cut at the end aside, I thought this was a great match.
Yeah.
In all around, was a collision that I just end up kind of having issues with overall. I thought that this collision did not do a very good job in, how do I want to put this? Outside of the main event, there was like one other match that was announced, and like a lot, the show felt like mostly filler for me. Like
Okay.
I look back at the matches of this show, and it's like the Brock Anderson uh Luchasaurus match felt weird and out of place, not because of where they were, because it makes sense because of where they were, but like he just got a match like that. Like no, there was no announcement that there was going to be a match. That wasn't even really implied super well in the promo. Um Again, like the Acclaimed will be in action, and it was an Iron Savage match. Samoa Joe will be in action, and it was a squash match.
Yeah, do you,
I look back on this Collision, and outside of some good promos and a really really fun main event, I thought this was the worst episode of Collision to date. And I mean, yeah, I generally find myself feeling somewhat disappointed with this episode of Collision
I
due to the
mean,
fact that Collision so far has just been phenomenal.
I was gonna
I just
say
feel like
when
I
every
just felt like
episode's
we
so
threw up
good,
our
it's hard to
hands
live
this
up.
week. And what'd you say?
I'd say when every episode has been so good, it's kind of hard to continue that streak, you know?
For sure, and I get that, but I just think that at the end of the day, like again, like if you really kind of like we went through the show one by one, and in a vacuum, not many of these segments are that bad. But it's like if you sit down and like look at the entire show from start to finish, like I don't know. I think that it's
No,
like
I see what you mean. Like the
you start
Luchasaurus
with
match,
yeah,
odd.
it's like so like let me just run through it like real quick. You start with a good Ricky Starks promo. And then you go into this Acclaim versus Iron Savages thing. And again, I thought this match was so unbelievable and unnecessary. But it's not even an announced match to get excited for. It's just like a thrown together, they'll be in action.
Yeah.
And then you have a good promo from the Bang Bang Gang. No problem with that. You have a good tag match with Willow and Statlander, Mercedes Diamante. Thought that was good. But then and a good promo from Tony Storm, and that's good too. And then you get into the Samoa Joe squash match. Christian Cage with a good promo that leads into a weird match. I guess the action side of this episode of Collision really left me wanting more. Because
I can
there
see
are some
that.
good promos here. Again, the Christian Cage promo is good, Joe's promo is good, Tony Storm promo good. Like the promos all were good tonight. I just feel like the wrestling matches outside of the main event just really didn't deliver. I think like if you're someone who me, I'm a story guy. I love the story. And if a show has a lot of great promos on it, I can kind of overlook the wrestling to an extent. But I think that this show of Collision is a lot of nothingness happening in terms of in-ring action. It's a very like I would almost say it's Rampage-esque, but like a bad Rampage-esque.
I don't know. I enjoyed the show, but I see what you're saying. I felt like they were trying to introduce us to a few new people to the show. You know, they threw Brock on there. They had Hobbs out there for a nice promo. You know, Miro versus Hobbs is finally happening. I think that's what Miro's been hinting at for a while. But I see where you're coming from. You know what I mean? I think we're just getting close to All In. We got to do a little bit of story stuff, and
Sure. And
Yeah.
I get that, and I'm willing to give it some leeway. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and shit on the show. I thought
No.
that there was a lot that I liked in the show.
There
I
was a
just
lot
think
of. I was gonna say there
Sorry,
was a
go
lot of crowd pleasing here for North Carolina. I think that did dull down a little bit when they kept doing that.
Yeah, it's just like for me, it just again, I think that Christian segment came off as really weird to me because it's like it's just like, hey, it's Brock and Arn Anderson here from North Kakalaki, and I'm like, okay, I
Well,
get it.
he insulted Flair. Remember, he said, "I'm better than Flair," and they got Arn Anderson, who's the next guy in line. If you don't have Flair,
I get it. I do. I don't know. Again, it just seemed kind of weird. And then they gave Brock a 10-minute match. Like, I think my biggest problem is that like there wasn't enough good quality, like believable matches on the card. Where it's like
yeah,
the Iron Savages and the Acclaimed should not have went 15 minutes.
I agree.
Brock Anderson, Luchasaurus, I don't think that should have went 10 minutes. Joe in a squash match, okay, it didn't go long, but on a show where you just don't have a lot of marquee wrestling matches,
Yeah,
that
I
matters.
liked that one. I liked the Joe match. I'm gonna stay away.
I'll give
from
you that. But, I still think that that's an issue with this episode of Collision. Again, that being said, there's a lot to like here, especially if you like promos like me. And I thought this main event was fantastic. It was a super enjoyable main event. Loved it. They went 30 minutes too, which kind of does make up a little bit for the lack of other marquee matches. Good. It's a fine, it's an okay episode of Collision.
Yeah.
Overall.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened after the show?
Okay, here we go. So after the show, CM Punk grabs a mic and says, and I quote, so obviously there were some signs in the crowd, and one of them was Carolina is Hangman Country. Punk says, look at this Carolina is Hangman Country sign. Earlier today, I went to a local supermarket and I figured out why they call him Hangman. It's because the pegs in the toy aisle are full of Hangman action figures, because nobody wants to buy them. He's a peg warmer, unlike me who moves merchandise, pops ratings, and sells toys, says CM Punk.
Pretty good. It just sounded like a promo, you know?
So, obviously, the discourse was what you would expect it to be, which was, this guy can't keep the Elite name out of his fucking mouth, yada yada, a lot of issues, yada yada. It baffles the mind as to how you can sit here in 2023. You go on twitter.com. Yes, twitter.com, not x.com. You go on Twitter and you form these opinions. Like, anyone that really thinks that CM Punk went out there and did a shoot on Hangman, like, I have some issues with you.
So I saw this story that's going around about Hangman being invited to Collision to film something.
So yeah, we're getting there. So that was last night. Today, we have conflicting reports that came out around the same time. Voices of Wrestling claims that the Punk promo was meant to be a work designed to garner heat with Elite fans, as opposed to a direct shot at Page. Punk is pursuing what was described as jump the rail style old school heat with Elite fans. So that was the reporting from Voices of Wrestling, VOW. Meltzer, Dave Meltzer comes out. It says CM Punk's off-screen promo on Adam Page was not storyline or anything like that. He also goes on to say that Hangman Adam Page was sent to Collision in Greensboro last night to do a pre-tape interview backstage for Wednesday's Dynamite. But when he got there, he was told that they would not have to do it away from the... He was told that they would have to do it away from the venue and not to go to the show.
Bullshit.
So,
I'm calling bullshit. Bullshit.
So I agree with you. My bullshit detector going through the roof here.
Who sent him? He was sent? What do you mean he was sent?
Well, he was booked, and I understand that part. Like, okay, like here's some holes that I have here, right? So we know that CM Punk has had regardless of whether it's a work or not, CM Punk had to sign, and we talked about this when he first returned.
Yeah.
He had to sign legal things, contracts to say that he would not shit talk certain people. One of them was Hangman. That was a thing that we were talking about. And now this thing happens. I find it hard to believe that Hangman resigns and okay, we're gonna bring you in for a pre-tape for Dynamite. Okay. So my follow-up is who made the call to send him home? Tony Khan is in the building running Collision. I know CM Punk has a lot of hands-on stuff in Collision, but Tony Khan's in the building. We know this to be a fact. And Tony's just yeah, CM Punk's right. We don't need you, Hangman. That just doesn't sound believable to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just a lot going on there.
And then the other half of this, they say that Ryan Nemeth was there and he had a sit-down talk with CM Punk.
So what happened with this is that Ryan Nemeth, make sure I get this right because I actually pulled up the link. Ryan Nemeth was reportedly sent home from AEW Collision after he had words with CM Punk. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that Ryan Nemeth had been brought in for AEW Collision taping on August 5th. However, a coach told him he wouldn't be needed and a flight home had already been booked for him. Per Sapp, Punk confronted Nemeth, who frequently appears on Being the Elite weekly, shortly after the former returned to AEW. Punk reportedly had an issue with Nemeth tweeting literally the softest man alive after his return promo. Sapp wrote that it's unclear how things went aside from Nemeth explaining himself. The report notes that nothing physical happened. I think Sean Ross Sapp clarified. So he was sent home yesterday. The Punk thing happened like weeks. Which again also just comes off as weird.
So hold on.
Like,
The way that they're reporting this, they're saying Nemeth was sent home after speaking with Punk, as if Punk told them to send him home. I hate the way that the media deceptively writes these headlines. Like, so basically you're saying that they had no use for Nemeth and that he was already scheduled to go home, and on his way home he had a talk with Punk in the hallway, basically?
look, man, I'm just reading exactly what was reported.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, if that's how it went down, the way that they word their headlines is so clickbaity,
Well,
dude. I
so-
hate that.
So again, the Sean Ross Sapp clarifies on this reporting. He says that he was sent home yesterday, but the thing with Punk was weeks ago, which was August 5th. Oh, no. He said weeks ago.
Still.
So that means that Punk had words with him weeks ago, and then this week he was sent home. And I'm just left again kind of scratching my head in a sense that like a lot of this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially if Tony Khan's in the building. It would be one thing if Tony Khan
Exactly.
wasn't in the building, but he's literally there running the show. So I just have this hard time looking at this story and buying it, especially
No.
when
I'm gonna
Voices of Wrestling comes out with a conflicting story. And mind you, these stories that conflict come out at the same time.
I'm gonna use your favorite phrase, dude. This story is in bad faith. Absolutely.
I just think it's
The way that
work.
the headline is read sounds like it happened at the same time. Ryan Nemeth has a talk with Punk and sent home. So you're telling me the talk with Punk happened 5 weeks ago, and that he was sent home from Collision this Saturday because they had nothing for him?
I don't think it was 5 weeks ago. It was just weeks ago.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, combining those two stories into one is ridiculous to me. That is absolute bad faith reporting right there.
It just seems weird.
I'm upset.
And here's the thing, though, Jeff. Like, I don't knock anyone reporting these things for the most part because if somebody's telling them these things, they're going to say it. I don't have an issue with what Sean Ross Sapp reports. Honestly, even though I think Meltzer is clearly the most biased out of all of them, I do think that somebody told Meltzer these things. I don't think Dave made these things up.
No.
I think that somebody came to him and said, yeah, Hangman was at Dynamite or was at Collision to do a pre-tape for Dynamite. He got sent home. Like, I don't know. It just strikes me as a weird story. So they do a pre-tape. They fly him in, and I understand that's a company expense, so Hangman probably is like, whatever. Wasn't there an issue with the Elite being on Collision, period? So like, why would they call him to Collision to do a pre-tape for Wednesday? And then, like, why, when he gets there, they say, oh, we don't need to do the pre-tape at the arena, let's do it somewhere else. Like, unless this is some sort of like him on like a farm doing cowboy stuff, like I don't know why you wouldn't need to do the pre-tape at the arena.
I just found a tweet where this guy's like, Dave Meltzer could write a headline saying your mom is a whore, and all the Young Bucks fans would be like, Mom, how could you?
Other little thing that came out, not related. Well, not fully related. So Tony Khan set up a meeting with the Bucks and FTR to iron out the details of the program that they're doing it all in. A meeting Punk requested to attend, both because the program involves top Collision talent, who Punk is extremely hands-on in regards to Collision, and also a way to get into the same room as the Buck. Punk's request to be a part of the meeting was denied. Which again strikes me as extremely unbelievable and completely stupid. I just don't like, who is this mysterious figure who is pulling all of the strings in the background, where it's like Punk wants to make amends with the Elite. The Elite say that they don't really like harbor any ill will. Both sides claim to want to make up. Clearly that's not like, it's just like Punk wants to go to this meeting. He's told no, you can't talk to the Bucks. Punk has reached out to the Bucks. The Bucks haven't returned the call. The Bucks don't strike me as those kind of guys that would just be like, fuck you. Like I just, there's so many things to this story that just
So-
reek of wrestling storyline. Like it just,
Fightful's trying to say that they were flat out told CM Punk's promo was not planned. I'm like, dude, if I was Tony, I'd be backstage like, who the fuck's the one telling them this, or are they making that shit up? You know what I mean? Like, get out of here.
I mean, again, it just goes down to like, we know that Punk signed these things like so that he would not badmouth these guys. Like Tony Khan made him sign stuff. Like
No.
that was a thing.
Being worked, y'all. You're being worked.
So Hangman Adam Page has updated his Instagram story.
I got that picture right here if you want.
It appears he is in Greensboro, and the song is "My Kink Is Karma" by Chappelle Rowan.
It's just a glass of red wine and some pink RGB lighting in the ambiance.
It's such a work, man.
It is.
It's such a work. Like, come on, like, this is just ridiculous. I
mean,
think
just think about the future. We got CM Punk holding a belt hostage. You know, we got a built-in storyline of Hangman rescuing AEW from the dastardly Punk down in the future. Like, it's all right there.
And like the Ryan Nemeth thing where he's literally on BTE every week. Like he is a weekly BTE guy.
Yeah.
He's clearly very close with the Bucks and the Elite. And so like, of course Punk sent him home. Like, oh,
Bro.
of course. Punk
My
sent
dream
Ryan.
would be for him to be getting sent home by Punk on BTE. Like,
Oh, John Moxley just showed up at PWG.
nice. All right. Well, what do we have set up for what's next? Dynamite.
Give me 1 second to pull it up. We have coming up this Wednesday on Dynamite, AEW International Championship Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. MJF and Adam Cole will talk about the main event of All In. Guns will take on the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega will have a sit-down interview with Jim Ross. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death Match, Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy. Chris Jericho will give his answer to Don Callis. The Bunny will take on Dr. Britt Baker DMD. Winner goes to All In. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne will be going up against the Gates Agony. Coming up on Collision next week, Darby Allin will take on Christian Cage. Willow Nightingale versus Diamante. And that's if that's announced for this upcoming.
All right. Well, I can't wait for All In. I'm really hoping they announce something with the movie theaters. Coog, if you hear anything about All In coming to movie theaters, let us know in the Discord. Michael, we should be doing a watch along if it's not going to be in the movie theaters. If it winds up being in the movie theater, we're going to be going to the theaters and watching it there, and then we'll be doing our review probably the next morning, I would guess, right? Or maybe the next night like we do here tonight, but we'll see what we're doing. We haven't figured it out yet, Mike. We're hoping that they do the movie theater in our area, but we'll let you guys know what we're doing for sure. Do you got anything else you wanted to go over here tonight, Rome?
No, I think that the world is stupid and wrestling Twitter is stupid and baseball umpires are stupid. I think there's a lot of stupid stuff.
You suck. You suck. You suck, man. That was horrible.
Terrible. What a terrible day of discourse. On the day when AEW breaks 80,000 at Wembley, we should be celebrating.
Had to be against my boy Alec Boehm too, man. Fuck.
But on a day when AEW breaks 80,000 for Wembley, we should be celebrating that they are mere hundreds away from becoming the all-time biggest wrestling show with a paid attendance ever. And instead we have to sit here and talk about conflicting reports, Punk and the Elite, and like it, you know, it's super like it's a bummer to me as somebody who enjoys the wrestling discourse from the right people, where it's like I find myself with almost zero people that I follow coming off as rational, where it's like outside of like Tranquilo Club and Backup Hangman, like there's not many out there who I'm just like, you're not a cringy follow. Keem is good. I like Keem. Like again, just a good amount of people that I follow, like, are just insufferable. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh, CM Punk's a man child, or the Elite are just a bunch of babies, and it's just like, man.
I've been utilizing that block button, man. It just makes Twitter a better place, bro. I promise.
Well, the problem is that I follow these people because I've liked the discourse in the past. It's just like the discourse now.
I'm
is
talking
not
like
fun.
when it gets egregious and you're like, that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever read. Those are the ones that I'm like, all right, I don't need to see your shit anymore.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I get that. So yeah,
But
right now, wrestling Twitter is just it is like legitimately the worst spin probably. Again, on the day that Collision or not Collision, that All In cracks 80,000, this is what we're doing. Okay, cool.
yep. All right, man. Go ahead and close us out, sir. What up, War
Canadian
Machine? You mean
Twitter,
X,
you
man?
mean
Just
X.
call it what you want. I'm not even giving them the publicity or whatever you want to call it. I'm just, you want to call it X, call it X. You want to call it Twitter, call it Twitter.
I'm not calling it X. I'm not doing that.
What I'm
I'm
saying,
just not.
you know,
Just not doing that. Not
like I
X.
said, I don't care what you call it. Just call
I know
it.
you don't
That's
care.
all.
You pay Elon Musk $8 a month. I don't want to hear about what you.
No, I canceled that shit. I don't even post the videos anymore, so there's no point in it.
Sure, real quick. Hold on, let's see here.
Oh, it'll still be there until the payment, until the 30 days is up.
I still see a blue check
Oh
mark.
yeah, it'll be there till the 30 days are up.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. That's a developing story officially. Anyways, it's Twitter, and I'm not calling it.
All right. Well, we will catch you guys next time. Do you want to close us out real quick or no? Not
Yes.
feeling it? All right.
Yeah, because I want to go to bed. This has been episode 166 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us in the chat tonight. Thank you to Coog, Michael Duke, Meduja, the Canadian War Machine. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe on your way out. Become a member. You can get a cool arcade cabinet badge to show that you're a member, as well as use the exclusive emojis, including CM Punk, Hangman, Adam Cole, Orange Cassidy. No, there's not a Hangman. There should be a Hangman. And the Acclaim. So a lot of cool stuff coming on here at the Broken Tables podcast. If you like video games, we will be back on Tuesday night this week to do the Game Room podcast, talking about some cool stuff, including reviewing the Pokemon Presents and also asking ourselves the question, should fans set expectations, depending on when great games come out, if other developers can reach those goals? What do we think about that? We'll talk about that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'll be back on Wednesday for our Dynamite review and back on Saturday for our Collision review. But until next time, catch you guys later.
All right. And I will actually be on tomorrow night in one of our first ever Broken Tables arcades. I'm going to be playing some Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to be doing character creation as CM Punk, the fighter. So if you guys want to join me for that one, that's going to be fun. But until next time, we will catch you guys later. Top guys out.